Sales training today is going to be overly simplistic, and yes, it is a bit of a review. But every now and then, I think there's more value in teaching from a negative than teaching from a positive. So let me tell you one, I absolutely pooched. I absolutely blew a sale this week. I'm going to give you my background and my excuse because my insecurities say I have to. Busiest day I've had in years. I franchise follow-up, franchise sale, contract on one, signed a contract with someone that's out of state, another one coming in, 4 sales presentations. I had to meet with the banker, had an insurance. I mean, holy cow. I was so overwhelmed with stress. I yelled at people that I will still be apologizing for the next week. It was burning me up. Last presentation of the day with 5 meetings still to cram in within an hour after that. Not enough time to do it correctly, which means I should have rescheduled. Either way, poof on those excuses. So I walk in and all that's there, but I come with a nice attitude. He's a nice guy, very high income, very established fella. And here's my problem. It was so easy. It was just so friggin' easy. It was a bonus room build out. The bonus room was even already framed. The closet and bathroom were already framed. This was simple pimple. I knew where it was going to end. I knew what it was going to cost. I knew what to do. I even cut my fee. It was so easy. I mean, this is one contract should have been signed before I even finished my last name. Easy. And I will never get this guy to take back one of my calls. I did nothing wrong. I did nothing rude. I skipped to the end. I made 2 massive problems. I did not sell my value. And the biggest problem, the big problem, is I didn't figure out what he cared about. And that was my stupidity. I.e., here's the end day. The guy walked in the door. This I learned later. Once I realized, holy crap, I floated the numbers, expecting this guy to bow down and kiss my feet, and it pooched. So, all right, let me, better story. And I'm not going to give you it all because it'd take too long. Sit down, visit, blah, 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 blah. And hey, what do you look? And he takes plans, throws it out. He has a video where he walked through with his phone and showed all. I mean, this is so simple. So, blah, 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 blah. I don't waste 5 minutes and I just blur. You're looking at probably anywhere from 16 to 20 grand. And we'll have that 400 square feet finished out. Your profit off this is insane. You're in $150. You just added 60 grand to your house for a maximum 20 grand cost. My fee is $2,500 for planning, blah, 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 blah. But I cut to $1,500 because it's so easy and it's 20% of cost. And there you go. I mean, done. And I realized I lost this guy. No way I lose this guy. And I'm losing him. And yes, I'm going to leave a lot of details out. And if someone wants to hear it, I'll moan into a single malt with you. But as I get through and I get with the guy, he's had other quotes, he's had other things. And he had no problem with the price. He came in with a budget goal of $25,000. At my highest, the maximum was his budget expectation. His hope was to get it done for 25 grand. If it was 35, he was still good. The high end of this guy's range was 50% higher than the max I thought I would be at. The max I could see us being at was the bottom fantasy goal for this guy. So how did I blow it? I blew it because I made it seem so easy and so clean, and I was so confident what the price was, and I did not take time to figure out he didn't care about money. He cared about what he perceived as a value, and he cared about taking advantage of someone. If I'd taken time and listened to him and heard what he said and understood why he hadn't finished off the bonus room at the time and why he hadn't this and why he hadn't that, and I'd let him talk and I'd gotten to know him versus knowing where this was going to end, so ending it there, I would have realized there was one of two ways to go with this guy. The very best way was to just quote it as a turnkey. But quote it as a turnkey and then let him beat me up on price. So in other words, I could do this thing as just a GC job for 25 grand and make excellent profit. But I could bid it at 40 and say, but if you'll do these little things for me and then let him beat me down, we'd ended up at 30 and he'd have been so happy because he got the better of it. He didn't care what it cost. He didn't care what it made, but he couldn't stomach me making 20%. Y'all who know how friggin' cheap that is. You know that's stupid. There are no decent remodel contractors working on 20% margin. Why? Because it's a you remodel it job. I'm not there so often. Big woof. This guy couldn't get over 20% is just too much, just too much, just too much. I got 20%. Oh, I can do that myself. He can't. He cannot go and hire the people. He cannot buy the materials. He cannot run the structure, let alone know how to do it for anywhere near. He will pay more doing it on his own than he does doing it with me and my fee, dramatically more. There's no question about that. The problem is that's what he would rather do, because the idea of 20% just hurt him. Because he's that kind of guy. There's nothing wrong with being that kind of guy. I have no problem with somebody being that kind of guy. There's a lot of that inside me. I have the character flaw, if it's a flaw, to a good extent as well. That's not the point, is to judge him at all. The point is this. It was an easy sale. It was an easy anywhere from $5,000 to $12,000, all sincerity, up to $12,000 profit on a 2-week project. And I pooched it because I didn't take the time to get to know him and understand what his buttons were. Instead, I went with my buttons, what I knew for an absolute fact to be true, and it was, and I went with the fact I knew that this was going to end. It's like putting the frosting on the cake plate before you bake the cake. You have a weird pile of frosting. And even if you do try to combine them later, it ain't gonna work because you're dropping the cake on top of the weird pile of frosting. I cannot believe I was that stupid. What a freaky expensive lesson. One level though, if any of you ever think, oh, he's arrogant, babies, always feel good about yourselves because y'all wouldn't have done that. But at the other, this is why. This is my negative lesson. I hope I learned it. And you know something? I will have learned it. And it will save me some sales. And someday I'm going to screw up and forget again. I guess to rephrase that, forgive yourself the pooches, but learn from them as well. This was my negative. I hope it had some value to you. If it didn't, thanks for listening. Have a great day, guys.